or if you just want a great steak.
Miss your favorite show? Download the podcast at KCAAradio.com.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the greatest real estate investment show ever. Here's the flip-flop investor himself, Todd Bayer.
Hey everyone, how we doing out there? This is the Flip-Flop Investor Show, and I am your host, Todd Bayer, the Flip-Flop Investor himself. We get together every week and talk about real estate investing here in the Inland Empire. And today, we're doing a very special live broadcast. Normally, we pre-record the show, but today, we're doing it live because we had a lot going on this week, and we're not able to do a pre-record. So we get to go to the amazing KCAA studios right here in beautiful Redlands, California. So, and today, we have a very special guest, one of our favorite guests, and our guest every first of the month, and that is Stephen McKee. How you doing today, Steve?
Oh, it's a tremendous day to be a real estate investor.
Now, why would we make you the first guest of the month?
It was Bruce's idea.
It was Bruce's idea. Bruce does some marketing for us, and he thought having you here would be a good thing for the first of the month because we're trying to stick to a theme.
Well, so legitimately, every month has a theme, right? So if you don't know, we're trying to... honestly, we're just trying to be a little more organized. It's a lot easier to focus on one item for a whole month. People get a lot more out of it. So every month this year we have a theme, and this month's theme is deal finding. We already had goal setting.
Yep, that was in January. Yep, January was goal setting. February was
business planning,
and we just wrapped up our monthly meeting at the club last night.
Yep.
Which was for the goal setting, and we had Lance Martin from Coldwell Banker Town and Country, and that was...
It was good, irreverent. It was an irreverent good time. That's
it was.
What I look for.
I would say it was a little irreverent. It was good.
Maybe you should take that phone off.
Turn off. Yeah,
beeping.
I keep on having vibrate on my phone. I thought I turned it off, but yeah, it was a great show last night. Not really a show, just
It is a show.
It is kind of a show.
We're ridiculous. If you've never been to the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club, which we host, the main meeting is the fourth Wednesday of every month, and a lot of these things are boring. They're seminars, right? They're kind of lame.
Yeah, if you've ever been to a real estate investment association like a RIA, most people call them RIAs. Yeah. They call us a RIA, and I get offended in some way because I'm like, we're not a RIA because we're not boring, and like we don't have the same speakers every single month, and it's unique. We have a band. It's a lot of fun. We're very different.
Yeah, once you add the band, it's officially a show, right?
It really is.
I feel like Lance walks in and he looks at me and goes, "A band?" And it was like this look of like, "Are you guys kidding me?" We're like, "Why not a band? Like they're great." He's like, "I know," but he was so blown away. And it was funny. Bruce said something really interesting last night. He's like, or maybe it was Jim. Anyways, it was some of the other club members or part of our team. Somebody mentioned something about the attendance. So we typically have 100 to 130, somewhere in that range, that come to this event every month. We have 3 other events, but this one is the largest attended one, and with the coffee event, close to creeping.
Yeah, getting there.
But he's like, it takes a lot to get 100 and some people out on a Wednesday night, middle of the week, and I thought, I hadn't really considered that. We just have always done it, but the truth is, like, for you and I to go out on Wednesday anywhere else is kind of a big deal.
It is, yeah. And we figured we had to feed people.
Yeah.
And we had to entertain them in some way.
Yeah, the tacos was a great change.
Yeah, and then the taco company we have that comes.
It's actually called the Taco Man.
Is it the Taco Man?
It's called the Taco Man.
Well, the Taco Man does a fantastic job. And I recommend them highly for anybody trying to do a Mexican-themed party or to put on a real estate investment.
Well, especially because they're licensed and they have insurance and like all
bonded,
that stuff. Yeah, so you can do actually a corporate event with them. I have other taco people who are delicious, however, and lower rates. However, they cannot be taken to professional facilities.
Is that guy that wanted cash for everything?
It's always the guy that wants cash for everything. But they've been great to us, actually. It's now the 3rd month in, and it's been awesome.
Yeah. So has it only been 3 months? I thought we did them in November last year too.
Did we?
I want to say we
Was
did
that the
them
one
in
on the
November.
patio?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it's 3 months: November, January, and February. We're in the month of March, but it's only been 3 meetings.
Got it. I
Christmas
forgot.
Party.
Yeah, December we did a Christmas party. It was very different. Anyway, so back to the real estate investing. Enough of that little whatever
look,
that was.
The point is, if you want to jumpstart in the business in any way, come out to the club. You meet a lot of people. It's a support group, basically.
It really is. And we do the main monthly meeting is on the fourth Wednesday of every month. So that's why we had it. Yesterday was February 28th. So this month will actually be again on March 28th because February and March actually mirror them.
It's identical.
It's always the same unless you have a 29-day February, which we didn't this year. So
fun fact.
leap year. Fun fact, yeah. For those of you tuning in for fun facts, you came to the right place.
so deal fighting.
Yeah, deal
fighting. Because it's on topic, right? I feel like a little kid trying to stay like okay, follow the rules.
Are we supposed to stay on topic? Is that?
No, we never do.
I don't remember reading that in the bylaws.
No, it's not. So people come, obviously, it seems like we have more consistent attendance this year because we're trying to keep these themes.
Yeah.
So in that
Well,
something.
this is the big one. So most people come to the club because they want to invest in real estate.
Yeah.
They may have paid for one of those ridiculously expensive mentoring courses. Yeah, they come to one of those, and then they come to our club, and they're like, I wish I didn't spend all that money. But they come, and the first thing they want to do is, I need to find deals. So March, this is a big month for the show. This is,
Technically, I hadn't really considered that, and because I haven't chosen the guest for the monthly meeting. So for those of you guys who don't know, Todd, and his side of the team pick all the guests for his show, and then I tend to pick the person I'm interviewing at the club, and I haven't picked the person yet because I'm actually having a hard time deciding if I want it to be someone who has one specific type or someone who has had so much experience in the business that they've tried everything. And I think I have someone in mind that's done all of it, and so I think I'm going to go that route. But I haven't picked anybody yet for that reason.
Okay.
But so. This is the most common question we've got, especially as a hard money lender previously.
Sure.
People said, I don't know how to find any deals. So we, Todd and I sort of, we started explaining things over and over again to people, and we're just lazy. We got tired of it. So we put together this big presentation called 40 Plus Ways to Find a Deal. The idea was that if you give this to people, they'll have it and they'll do it. The thing is, they still don't do it, no matter how much you give it to them.
Yeah.
So I guess I want to talk about the fundamentals of, regardless of how you find the deal, what you're supposed to do with it.
Okay.
Because...
You mean what you're supposed to do with the deal once you've found one?
No. What you're supposed to do with the lead or the lead source.
Got it.
So let's clarify what lead source is, right?
Yeah.
So lead source, a good example of a lead source in this business would be you've been driving by a neighborhood for... through a specific neighborhood for months.
Okay.
And you go out on trash day and you notice that there are 7 people who consistently don't put their trash cans out.
Okay.
Good chance it's a vacant house, right?
Sure.
So
all 7 of those people.
Yeah, all 7. Maybe one's just some people who are never home and eat out every day. I don't know. But pretty good odds. That's a lead. Nobody gave it to you. You generated it yourself.
Okay.
Right? Because you drove around.
So that was a self-made lead by driving around.
Yeah, that's a way to find a deal, right?
But you don't necessarily know the name of the owner. You don't have a phone number, contact info of any kind. You found a house.
Yeah. It's a box with stuff.
Anybody could do that.
Yes.
Many of the people driving home from work right now are they see this house probably every single day. You've seen that piece of junk. You know nobody lives there. Or you see it's in such bad shape. Yeah. Somebody might live there.
Or the tenants just abandoned the place.
Sure.
Right?
We've seen all forms of this.
Yeah, fires. There's so many variations. Like, if you're driving home right now and actually listen to this show while you're driving, just...
Take another road home.
Yeah, turn it, make a left somewhere, right?
Do it legally and safely before you...
Don't cross any medians.
Yeah, exactly.
Good luck, everybody. You go like across traffic. But realistically, most people don't even do that. They don't even try something different. So let's say you do today go drive a different way home, right? And you make a left through a neighborhood that you won't get murdered in.
Okay.
And you come across 3 houses that you think look dilapidated, or there's a character trait in them in some way, right? That looks vacant, or maybe there's a sign in the yard and weeds 10 feet tall, whatever.
Yeah.
So, what do? Let's assume there's no realtor involved, because everybody thinks that agents are part of the process, right? Which they aren't for investors in most cases.
Yeah, not all the time.
Well, lately, because we're becoming a larger buyer, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier for us to work with agents. But when you're new, you're more likely to get a better deal working directly with the homeowner.
Sure.
So there are, let's say the most basic thing is you just yell at your phone. right? Or your Alexa, or whatever. Hey, take down this address, this note, right? Siri, what's the one in Android?
I don't know. Does Android? It's OK Google or something.
Is it okay? Yeah, OK Google. Whatever.
I probably just ruined everybody's day because I'm saying OK Google.
We should say OK Google over and over again. OK Google.
OK Google. Okay, Google. Go to Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club.
Hey Siri.
Was there somebody who was telling us they were put out a commercial?
Yes.
Yes. It was clickbait.
It was based around the old the 976 number idea where the kids would hold up the phone to the TV
that's right.
and it would use the tone dialer.
Don't get any good ideas out there, folks. That's a terrible idea.
No, but it's a funny one.
It is kind of funny.
Hey Siri, turn the house temperature up to 90. But
yeah, don't do that. Don't say anything like that on the radio or the television.
Yeah, no. Order 42 boxes of Cheez-Its.
Oh man.
So if you write it down, then you got to do something with it after you wrote it down.
Of course.
So forget all the complicated technology, right? The easiest thing to do is just to follow up with a simple step. In most things in your life, if you really want to do something, right, you're going to write it down or put it on a to-do list or a calendar. Mm-hmm. So leads are the same way. If you have a lead, all you're going to do is try and make contact with this person and then put it in your calendar, follow up. The only missing step there is how do you get a hold of them, right?
Yeah.
So
especially if the house is vacant. I mean, how do you even find out who the owner is, right?
So what we tell people is, let's say you saw this home. I always say go talk to the 5 closest neighbors, right? Go walk around, talk to all the neighbors that would necessarily touch that house on both sides and across the street, right?
Mm-hmm.
All 5 of them. Chances are they're gonna tell you a story. Somebody's going to.
Hopefully, you get to meet Betty, the one that knows everybody on the street, and she was the original owner of the property. And
the Joneses used to live in that house, and they were there for 40 years. And they just moved on. These new people moved in. They're terrible. The whole story. So you want that, and hopefully somebody's got a phone number.
Yeah.
If not, what's the service we have on our phone?
Intellius. Yeah.
Okay, so Intellius is a nominal fee, I think $10 a month.
Yeah.
Something like that. It will give you a whole bunch of phone numbers and addresses of people. Now, Todd and I have access to a bunch of other public record stuff, but Intellius seems to be the easiest one to tell people to use. Mm-hmm. And so you can sort of exhaustively mail and call every piece of information in Intellius, right? All the previous addresses, every phone number. Mm-hmm. You could even track down family members and try and call family members. It'll connect you to those as well. It's a good resource. Let's say you actually do get a hold of somebody. Yeah. Right? Either a return piece of mail or a phone number or somebody answers the phone.
Right.
They're probably going to have a whole story for you, about why there's a problem with the house, why they don't want to sell, whatever the case may be. Your job is to listen to the story and then ask if they want to sell or when. And then whatever thing they say they want you to do, you just follow up. So they're going to say, well, tax season, is coming up, and we haven't addressed any of the probate issues of the property after grandma died in it, and we're not sure what to do with the estate, and they're going to have this crazy excuse, and you're like, all right, so when should I follow up with you then? Mm-hmm. And they're going to say, well, we're going to meet our CPA in April. Great. So I'll call you in April. And you just go to April on your calendar, and you put that person's number in there, and you call them back. And you do that over and over and over again.
Maybe put a little backstory in there, because if you're doing this a lot,
yeah,
give yourself some notes so you know what to follow up with them about and who you're calling. And
there's a dog, Skippy. Yeah, he's 8 years old. He likes peanut butter, that kind of thing.
Yep, their son was born in October, and all that good stuff.
So you just Google Calendar, any other calendar source, they allow you to put a bunch of notes in, set a new date. I mean, it's a very easy system to follow. No expensive products, nothing. Anybody can do this for almost nothing.
Yeah, if you have a smartphone that you already own, you don't have to pay for anything else.
Yeah, you're pretty much there. So that being said, right, that's what to do with the lead, right? Mm-hmm. We should talk about all the goofy ways we've found them.
Sure.
Or ways we forced them.
Yeah, what we should have done is we just brought the 40 ways to find a deal thing and gone over.
So I know them all. I wasn't gonna read them off.
Yeah, you don't want to regurgitate.
Well, I was actually more thinking maybe people want to hear the. So we got 35 minutes left, right?
Yep.
Do we go till 5?
Yeah, we go till 5.
5 o'clock?
Yeah, of course.
So we got 40 minutes left. All right. I mean, I think we just tell about all the weird ways we found stuff.
Okay. And I think for me, because my experience, I knew early on in the industry, like when I got in, I didn't know how to talk to a seller.
Yeah.
I had no confidence. I didn't think I knew enough, whatever. So I never talked to sellers. I just talked to the people that knew how to talk to sellers and utilized their ability to close deals to find deals for me.
That's a great method.
Because I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, what are you supposed to do? You just hire people that know what they're doing. I mean, I guess that's what business owners tend to do. If you don't know how to do something, hire somebody that does.
We pray they know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they talk a big game, that's for sure. So yeah, I don't really have much direct seller experience, dealing with a seller directly.
But you have agent experience.
I have agent experience.
And you have people who bring us deals, like you know how to talk to those third-party people, like wholesalers.
Yeah, that's the experience that I have. But the circumstances behind the sellers, I never really knew the story most of the time.
You don't think so?
I mean, not really.
I mean, other than REOs, right? So, like let's take the most basic one. An REO, for those of you guys don't know, is real estate owned. It's property that's owned by the bank. Now, if anybody's like, oh my God, REOs, don't get excited. The REO phase is long gone. It will come back some point in the future, but probably not the near future, at least from what we can tell.
Right. Nothing to get excited about right now.
Yeah, don't invest in this business model today.
I was kind of like have a sad moment when a new real estate investor comes to me and says, I'm focusing mainly on bank owned properties and distressed, whatever. And I'm like, don't. Like, that's a waste of your time right now.
Well, understand it's between 1% to 5% of the market, right? Mm-hmm. And the part of the market that it is overthrown or is overrun by people who are would-be homeowners to live in the home.
Yeah.
And they're doing everything they can to get that property at even just a small discount, not the type of discount we would need.
Right.
So the other thing we've dealt with is wholesalers. So we should talk about wholesalers.
Okay. So wholesalers typically
suck.
Yeah, they typically suck. But typically they're new people in the business. You don't often meet people that have been in real estate for a while and they've been doing investments and then they became a wholesaler. It's usually they started out as a wholesaler.
There's only a couple I know.
That like went back to it, like Aaron. Yeah. But there's it's not very often you meet these people, but they're people that the wholesaler will be the one out finding the deals. So once they find a deal, then they get it under contract to sell or buy it from the owner, and then they take that contract and sell it to somebody for an inflated price.
Yes.
When the first time I ever wholesaled a property, $5,000 was a pretty standard wholesale fee.
Yeah, that's about right.
So if I got a property under contract for $100,000, I'd sell it to Steven here for $105,000.
Yeah.
And Steve would bring in cash or bring in financing, and he'd close the deal. I'd make a little $5,000 spread, and cool, I made $5,000. But those fees are they've changed a little bit.
Well, they're all over the place. If you're there's two sides to this, right? Yeah. There's the newbie wholesaler, right, where they have no idea what they're doing, and they will take whatever you will give them.
True.
Right, which is 90% of people.
Yeah. Well, you always know they're new because they have all these contracts and things they want you to sign for them to even tell you the first digit of the address. They wouldn't even give you the full digit until you've signed 30,000 papers. And
for anybody who's considering wholesaling, just understand that as a professional buyer, I don't care about your contract. I have more deals than I can buy. I'm not going to steal your deal. Any professional buyer is not going to. And if you have a deal and something happens where you lose it to somebody else because of some mischievous method, you just bought yourself a lifetime of education. You just learned who not to deal with.
Yeah.
And if you are uncomfortable with the person on the other side of the table or the other side of the phone, you shouldn't talk to them. Like, just get it. Like, just quit working with them. And you should be getting to know people you're going to wholesale to anyway pretty well, to where you call them, hey, Steven, I got a deal for you. I need you to, take a look at this thing when you get back to me. And I say, okay, 24 hours, I'll get back to you, purchase price, all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think a lot of wholesalers, they try to do me a favor by providing me with their information they've come up with on the property.
We don't want it.
But I don't want it. I'm going to do my own valuation on the deal anyway. I'm going to figure out the comps myself. I don't need to see your comps.
Yep.
Really, literally, the best thing a wholesaler could do is say, hey, I've got this deal at 123 Main Street. Let me know what you can do on it.
Here's some pictures.
Pictures would help.
Pictures would be great.
That would probably be the most help a wholesaler could give me, aside from the address.
Address and photos.
And then I'll come back to them with a price I can pay.
Yeah.
And we're always going to pay highest and best.
Yep.
We don't mess around. We're
Any
not just,
professional buyer does.
yeah, because they don't have time to mess around with. Oh, maybe if I come in a little bit low, I can get a slightly better. No, it's not our thing. We don't do that. Nobody in this business that does this.
Nobody we know now.
No, I don't know anybody I don't know anybody where that is their strategy.
They will max out. They will all max out right away. They're like, this is the most I will pay. Sorry.
Yeah, especially if it's with a wholesaler or a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Now, if they're negotiating with a seller directly, they might.
Oh yeah.
Because
you're asking the seller what they want. Mm-hmm. Right. You're saying, hey, seller, how much do you think your home's worth, and what do you want for it?
Exactly. And if the seller says, I want $100,000 for this, I just want to get $100,000 out of this house, and you can, whatever. If you could have paid 120, doesn't mean you have to pay 120. If they only wanted 100, pay them their 100.
Well, there's something interesting about sellers.
Mm-hmm.
So to move to that side of it, like a seller in an interesting situation, in a distressed situation or a situation where they just don't care, they have like a need that is going to come out of the other side of this deal, right? They're like, I have this property, I need to unload it, and they've pre-spent this money in their mind, and they're like, oh, if I could get $32,000, I could buy a new car.
Yeah,
right? and that's all they care about. So they'll tell you something more to that tone. They don't care about the purchase price. They're saying, well, I just need $72,000 to buy this, right? I want to buy a boat because that's a smart thing to do with your cash from a house.
I've had people buy motorhomes. Yeah,
motorhome. Yeah, some people say they want to travel, like or they want to live in it, or they want to go live with their kids in another state or something. If you guys can't tell that, we have a lot of older clients that we end up buying homes from. We have to go through a lot to help these people because they end up in dire financial circumstances with their family, and sometimes we end up protecting them from their family in some way. I've had to do that in the past where the families are sort of trying to it's elder abuse, but they're trying to essentially rob their grandparent or their parents of their estate.
Yeah.
Which is it's way more common than you think.
Yeah, and it's disgusting when you're around it. You're like, I can't believe these people are doing this to their own father and mother, You
see them picking the place apart too. Like I got this, they're pick apart stuff at the house, furniture, cars. You're just like, oh Jesus.
Yeah.
But
even today, we just closed on a deal today we just bought.
Yeah.
And the owner of the property had a heart attack over the weekend.
Yeah, that was we seriously came really close to not getting that deal.
And but the poor guy, he's just trying to clean the property out. We told him we'd hire movers, and so
we're hiring movers. He wanted to sell this stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, just take it easy, I don't know how to help people sometimes, you just...
So in this case, this was a wholesale deal that went bad, right? We had a wholesaler that claims they're experienced. It seems like they are, from what I could tell with Tyler. Tyler's our internal acquisition guy. He vets everything that comes through our email. They got it under contract at a price that we couldn't pay.
Well, that
really
was
tight for us.
They got it under the price that we needed to pay.
Yeah, their price was our price.
Right, so they negotiated a good deal for them as a buyer, but they didn't negotiate a good wholesale deal for themselves.
Yeah. So there's no value add in selling it to us.
Right, yeah, we told them what we could pay, and they're like, well, that's what we're under contract for, and we're like, I can't offer more.
And the seller got really mad because they didn't close in time. You have a person who's, he's essentially, the short version of it is his wife died. Yeah. He became a hoarder. Unfortunately, in this situation, the guy's life kind of fell apart. As a lot of people do when they lose a spouse.
Sure.
He was very fortunate to have run into an old high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
Who is taking him in. She's a very nice estate, in South Corona, and she's like, all this crap is not coming to my my place, and he had to unload a bunch of stuff, and we're giving him cash. He's getting, I think, $340,000 for the house, and we're paying to move him. He has 30 days to move out, and we have a $2,500 holdback for interest in case he doesn't move on time. It's an interesting deal, and she was really flexible, but she was really mad at these wholesalers because they promised stuff and they didn't perform.
Yeah, which is common.
Yeah, it's common, and so we ended up just getting the deal handed to us because they want to make the seller happy. Now the seller's really happy with us because we were really upfront about the entire process and what she can expect. But it was a situation where this guy could have been I mean, he's a victim of the world. Anybody could take advantage of this dude.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, I had somebody else, like as an advocate. She was in the lending industry, so like working for him. She was in the reverse mortgage industry, and we were able to pick up a great deal. He was able to get exactly what he wanted, and he has a pile of cash now. And hopefully, he doesn't have another heart attack soon.
Yeah, no. Hopefully, he's taking better care of himself and not overexerting himself moving out. But yeah, so that's one type of circumstance.
Well, so all right, there was stuff that I did that when I was helping you buy property back in 2008 that people should be aware of.
Okay.
I'm going to put myself on Front Street, and this should be interesting. Okay. For those of you who don't know what a red tag is, red tag is when a property essentially is unlivable by some standard, right? It's the circuit,
like code enforcement.
Code enforcement essentially. Well, building safety.
Yeah,
building safety is a red tag.
Right.
Code enforcement usually is the first on the scene.
Sure. So they've determined this place is not condemned, but
they say substandard building conditions is what they call it.
Substandard building conditions.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that could be anything. That could be like there's a hole in the roof. There's a shower that's gutted. There's no working shower in the property or kitchen or whatever. Or it's open. It's like just vacant and open. So if you have a property you really want and it's sitting there, kind of doing nothing, a really good way to get it is actually to report it to the city.
Yeah.
So I used to do it when they were REOs, because when they're REOs, it eliminated a lot of competition. But now the cities seem to be really good at getting a hold of the owners. For some reason, when there's a distressed property situation, and if you report something as a red tag, or report something as an open and notorious, damaged property, they come out and they red tag it, and they send this mailer out to the family or whoever the last known address is. Eventually, somehow, it gets to the owner usually. And once it does, they need to solve the problem, and you're there to solve it. You leave information at the property, you go back on a regular basis, you look for family. Like the city won't give you the information generally. Some code enforcement officers will.
Yeah, but you have to have made your presence known at the property and say, I'm here to help you with this problem.
Yeah. And so once it's red tagged, the cities are really vigilant about finding and cleaning these type of properties up, especially lately. Like we've been dealing with the city of Fontana and a couple of them. They've been phenomenal to us, but they're being really diligent with their vacant properties.
Yeah. Well, the problem with these houses too, I mean, they're just, it's a blight on the street.
Yeah.
The neighbors, their values are being affected by this unmanaged, unmaintained home.
Dangerous, like empty pools.
Yeah, like we bought one that's a fire damaged property in Hemet just recently, and I mean, this place is a piece of crap. I mean, it is terrible.
Yeah.
And
there's pictures from like the roof Mike was taking, a contractor, and I'm like, how has this not been cleaned up yet?
Yeah, it's in a nice little neighborhood in Hemet, and like I feel so bad for the neighbors because these are like well manicured yards. Like
it's beautiful street,
very nice street, and here's this one house.
Yeah.
And like everything that was in the home that they did not want to keep is just thrown across the entire property in bags and all kinds of stuff, and it's been sitting like that for like 2 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean. Yeah, at some point, somebody has to do something about these things, and that's where we come in. And we're just, we took it off the owner's hands, which they got insurance, I think, on this thing, didn't they?
Yeah, well, it was a wholesale deal. Right, that came from Val, the other wholesale.
Yeah.
And we paid $82,000 for the thing.
Yeah.
I think we're going to sell it close to $300,000.
Okay, but it needs a lot of work.
Oh, it's over $100,000 in remodel. I mean, it's massive.
You have to rebuild a whole roof, truss, and all that stuff.
Mike said there's 4 good standing walls. Is how he described it.
Wonderful.
So it's basically we're building almost a whole new house.
3 more than we need.
Right? Yeah, to keep the keep the fees down. But I was going somewhere with this idea.
You were talking about red tags on properties.
Okay, so the red tag, the cities like to put these giant levies, and the levies aren't they're not in dollar amounts. They're in restrictions. You have to. Well, one of the problems with that is no lender will lend on this property.
Right.
Even if you could clean up the property before you close escrow, no lender will lend with this sort of cloud on title, right?
Yeah.
And
it's a list of things that need to be done to the property in order to release the lien. Essentially, they put on the property. Yeah. I'm familiar with this. We just closed one with this.
Yeah, we did. And so it's not a financial lien. It's a defect lien. The defects need to be cured. So a lot of people don't know how to close these deals. So there's something called you say bind around it is what is the industry term. That means that like if you've ever got insurance, you'll hear people say like a binder, and a binder is sort of an exclusion or like a limitation to the policy. It says we're gonna give you insurance despite this.
Yeah, you're leaving it on your title
Yeah.
to the property, and your lender, whoever's lending you money on this, has to understand that you're taking the property with this thing on title, and it's going to stay there until you can get it remedied.
Yes,
which that's really the goal of it. Like in the case of that one in Hemet, I think that's the one we did this around just recently.
Yeah,
and it's a laundry list of stuff.
That's like 7 pages.
It really is of things we need to do, but it basically is
rebuild the house,
rebuild the roof, rebuild the put in new plumbing, like all the stuff that we're going to be doing anyway.
Yeah,
but there's no way you're going to do that before you sell the property. So there's no way to remove this thing from title prior to, so it requires somebody like us to bind around.
Yeah, as a homeowner, you're stuck. Mm-hmm. You probably don't have the cash. You don't know how. That you have to sell at a discount to get rid of it.
Yeah, who knows what their insurance disbursement was, but it may not be enough to rebuild.
Yeah, you don't know. So, or maybe they said, we don't want to let them Hemet, we're out.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're done. So, if you work with a lender, an intelligent hard money lender who can bind around or who will give a loan on a title policy that has bound around. I don't know how to say it in that tense. Has provided a basically an exclusion to the policy, saying like we're going to let you keep this lien on title, and we're not going to insure for this lien. Then you can get really, really good deals. And there were multiple times where I was helping Todd buy properties. His family was making some rental investments, and I would get them red tagged when they were REOs, and so all the listing agents would be freaking out because they couldn't figure out what to do. They're like, oh, we're screwed. We can't sell this property. Like, no, I got it. Yeah. Like, really? Like, no, we're fine. We're going to close. We're going to close the cash. Like, it's a done deal. And they didn't believe me all the way up until the day it closed. Yeah. Because they were inexperienced. So red tagging a property is a good way to eliminate 90% of your competition and a good way to contact an owner. It's a really good way to get a really good deal.
Well, it's a way to get a distressed property moving.
Yes.
Rather than having it sitting there anymore, and causing all the problems it's causing. So it's a good way to do it. Good way for in a lot of different ways. You're really, because you're helping the neighborhood out. You're helping out. The homeowner probably getting out of that situation they're in. And
what's a system? The systems are put in place to prevent these issues.
Right.
You're just utilizing the system.
True. Yeah. I mean, like, because counties and cities, they don't want these distressed properties in their counties and cities because they're not generating tax revenue for them. No. So, it's in their best interest to move the ball forward on these things a little bit and keep it moving, because they want that revenue back. Well,
a lot of people don't understand that a city is essentially a business.
It is.
Right? It's a corporation.
Yeah, and who wants to live in a city with a bunch of houses that look like that?
No, nobody.
Yeah.
There's some cities I can think of in the Inland Empire where people stay away from for those reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
We'd still buy there, because why not?
Well, sure, because not every house is like that.
Yeah, but somebody's going to buy it to grow weed in either way, right? all those cities essentially that you could think of that are blighted cities seem to be adding ordinances and where you can grow lately. I think it's a way of curing the economy.
I was talking to somebody last night about converting homes into smart homes, like doing smart homes in the Inland Empire. And I'm like, I don't know if the market's there for that, but maybe the market is there for having a weed room in all these houses. Maybe we just put it in with all the
just a clean room.
Yeah, all the electrical around the perimeter of the ceiling for all their grow lights. Maybe there's an industry for that.
It's a pre-wired. Pre-wired for medical cannabis.
We don't have to say that. We could just say it's an indoor greenhouse, or something like that.
I mean, it's probably not a terrible idea. Actually, now that you mentioned that, I'm going to put pen to paper and see if that actually works. I'm really curious if that works in the construction budget. I think it actually might.
Yeah, because like an electrical contractor, they have they don't have to disclose that they went to a home and installed a bunch of electrical outlets along the ceiling line.
That's super funny.
But they just have to do it to code, right? And make sure it's done sound and everything like that. Maybe run a new home run or something like that to the panel.
They literally put in a little sub panel and a whole bunch of electrical wiring and a secondary AC system, and there's a clean filter.
You seem to know a lot about this.
I've researched the heck out of it.
Oh, have you?
Well, actually, so
is that what they call it, research?
Yeah. so side note, actually, we went to a conference a couple weeks ago, and the weed industry in California is very, very new. A lot of people think that it's like, oh, the people who've been in it for years are already taking, not even close. Like this industry is bare bones still. And they showed us this chart, and me and Todd were kind of sitting in our seat, just like blown away. And they were showing the growth of recreational medical cannabis.
And like, fun. I like that.
Yeah, blown away.
You know the growth of recreational marijuana.
That's clever. I didn't mean to do that.
Pun. That was punny.
Punny.
Quite punny.
Dad jokes. Dad jokes for the show. But they were basically showing 4 times growth in the next like 10 years. That's a lot of that's a lot of growth.
That's Todd. A lot of growth.
but so there's another hard money lender we know who they've always been creative.
Yeah.
And they were kind of a competitor previously when we were lending, and they got into the medical cannabis space, and like immediately I'm looking at Todd going, there's a fortune in this. Like, we got to get in this industry.
Yeah.
And some of the cities around the Inland Empire and a lot of California have specifically opted in to grow medical cannabis in warehouses or, outdoor or whatever. So, we're seriously considering ways to invest in the pre-infrastructure. So, like, basically from dirt to buildings for these growers to make money selling essentially buildings or plans for buildings or converted dirt or whatever to these cannabis growers, because they're going to be there, and there's a lot of money to be made selling them these buildings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's a lot of money to be made even in all the ancillary services, all the supplying of the nutrients and the soil and all the other stuff. There's
there's all these different licenses, compartments to it.
Right.
That's not what this is about. That is a good way to find a deal, though. Actually, that is a great way to find a deal by accident.
Yeah.
So you could convert agricultural land, into commercial grow land and make some money.
Yeah. So if you're looking to get into the commercial agricultural space,
yes,
that is real estate
with no understanding of growing weed.
Yeah.
Just building buildings to suit those people.
Yeah.
There's a deal there.
Many of them probably aren't looking to purchase a building. They're going to look to lease a building anyway.
Yeah. Well, so Plurus, the lender we were talking about, they had, they were funding people they were investing in the buildings.
Right.
They were going to lease to these growers.
Yeah. Yeah, we had done a loan back in 2011, I want to say it was. Where,
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, it was a dispensary that was actually occupying the space. They were the tenant, and we did the loan to the guy that wanted to buy the building. And it worked out basically okay. I mean, as far as we knew, we were just lenders on a property that was being occupied by a cannabis dispensary.
Yeah, it was. They did well.
They did well, as far as I could tell. But
what was it, in Upland?
Rancho Cucamonga.
Oh, that's definitely not a legal dispensary. There are none allowed in the entire city.
Well, we didn't know about that back in 2011.
I don't think anybody cared as long as the building worked, because you could turn the building into anything else. That's what's great. So, like, if you don't understand kind of where we're going with this, it's a building no matter what. Mm-hmm. It just sometimes makes more rent if it has a cannabis grower dispensary in it.
It was a farmer's insurance brokerage prior to that.
Okay.
So it was already set up kind of like an office. Yeah. So we figured, worst case scenario, the tenant has to get evicted and, we move in somebody else. So it still made sense as a commercial building because it was a long foothill or something like that.
It was on Foothill, I think.
Might have. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Foothill.
Yeah. So that being said, I'm trying to think of other ways that I've found deals in the past.
Other creative ways of finding deals.
So we should talk about the networking effect that people don't use enough of. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have enough. You don't have enough time.
Yeah.
To find deals.
True.
Like, to find at least as many as you'd like.
Yeah.
Right? So there are a lot of people that have like these ancillary services associated with distress that you should be networking with.
Okay.
So locksmiths,
car
repo, or like errands, appliance rental, or furniture rental,
rent a center,
like the rent-own furniture stuff,
rent a rim. These places that where they're the first ones to sort of be notified when somebody's distressed. They're going to their stuff's being repossessed in some way. Mm-hmm. The locksmith I still think is the best one. Yeah, locksmith's good.
I think if you got to know a bunch of locksmiths and you offered them a $500 finder's fee for finding you a deal or putting you in contact with an owner, they would obviously have to ask the owner permission to give them their contact, give you their contact info. Mm-hmm. But who's the first one to respond to an eviction? Who's the first one to respond to a board up, a fire? So these people do preservation and lockouts. Mm-hmm. And they know where the distress is. Usually they're one of the first lines of defense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, short of the fire department,
Yeah.
or the paramedics or something.
Yeah.
I mean, but even before that, I mean, you can look at distress before the locksmith
Yeah,
finds out about it. Like divorce attorney, for example.
for sure.
Like if a couple's getting divorced, or even even at the you go to like Department of Public Social Services. I mean, there's people there that they might have just lost their job.
Yep.
They need some support. They need like they might not be able to continue affording the house that they're living in. Maybe they rent, maybe they own. You don't know, but you have to find the places that these people will be.
State attorneys.
The state attorneys, sure, yeah, for probate, even probate attorneys.
Yeah.
They don't always have somebody lined up to purchase.
Well, sometimes they get deals that they don't take as a probate case, but you can pick up the property. It doesn't need probate.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe somebody's family had a trust and they call a probate attorney, and the probate attorney's like, "Look, there's a trust in place. You don't need me."
Yeah.
I'm sure that happens.
Yeah, probably all the time. So, yeah, attorneys would be a good resource. And then there's
But the Uber drivers, people who landscapers, house cleaners, all these people that are out on the road all day.
yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe even your newspaper distributor, your guy that's out there delivering newspapers.
There's 17 newspapers still on 4th Street.
Yeah, exactly. I deliver one every Wednesday.
Yeah, they pay me, but there's nobody there. Or they prepaid the year.
That would be interesting.
Right. I had a landscaper who was $600 and something into in debt on my first deal because to the client he continued to mow her lawn because he was a very nice guy and understood the situation. There was a death in the family, and this lady unfortunately was left a very large federal tax bill by her deceased husband, and the church would come by and like bring her food, and he would mow her lawn, and like the neighbors kind of did her favors, and if I had known him, I found the deal because she walked in our office. But if I had known him, 6 months prior, I might have known.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the landscaper.
Yeah,
he could have told you about it. So yeah, those are good deals, good ways to find deals. I think you really just have to get creative. You have to use your, you have to use your best.
Put your thinking cap on.
Yeah, you put your thinking cap on, and
it's got to be a fez though.
It could be.
Fez needs to be the thinking cap.
The fact that it's kind of a pyramid shape, it helps direct the information into your brain.
Funnel. It's a funnel. It's an information cone.
Some might call it a dunce cap, but that's fine. They anyway. So you have to put on your thinking cap and think. How can I reach people that are in certain situations before everybody else? Because there's competition looking for these types of deals all over the place.
Yeah, you don't want to compete.
You don't. I mean, especially if you're new. Like, the less competition you have, the better. And if you do have competition, you can do like what Robert Fregoso used to do, where he'd go to the house and buy all the flyers.
That was a genius idea
from the competition. Yeah. So I'll give you $100 to take all your mailers and flyers off your hands from other people, and you're basically taking away their ability to contact those people.
It was brilliant.
In the future, it's great. But again, you just leave them your business card. Yeah. You're the only one left. So
I like to see what my competition's doing. How about I buy all those flyers so I get an idea what they're sending out?
Yeah.
And then literally you own all of them. That was really smart. I forgot about that one.
That was a good one. That was like the one takeaway I took away from the time we interviewed Robert at the club. And but using your creative fluid, your creative juice to figure out how to get these people before anybody else does. And if maybe you've been in that situation before where you just lost your job or something. A lot of people going back to the downturn back in 2007, 8, 9, where people were losing their jobs. I mean, what did you do? When you realized you weren't going to be able to make your mortgage payment.
So, when I went broke in 2007, I was a real estate agent at the time. Essentially, I thought I was a real estate investor. I had no idea what the hell I was doing, but I was a real estate agent. And I, figure out what to do next, right? And I had this conversation with my dad, and I was like, "Hey, I can't pay all these bills." And he's like, "Do you have the money?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Are you going to?" I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Well, then stop paying them." Yeah. My family gave me the advice, which is super weird considering my parents are extremely type A, like model credit, model citizens.
Of course.
It was a very odd conversation, but
long time careers.
Yeah, like they have like ridiculous, retirement packages.
Yeah.
That my parents are very safe. They're very safe. I had a very ideal childhood, to say the least. But if I think back to that time, I've always been an entrepreneur, so my first thing was I was looking for another business. In doing so, I was on Craigslist looking for other opportunities. I eventually realized that I wanted to do like the BPO business. I'm trying to think if there was an intervention somewhere. I mean, I got a car repoed during that time, involuntary. I did a voluntary repossession, but I had a car repo that I had to get back. I had to call some family to get out of Hawk.
Yeah.
So in that case, it was the repossession would have been the trigger. That's like the earliest, having a car repoed.
And that's tough because, I mean, I've heard a thing that people will, like, the car is the last thing to go for a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
You know, like that's the last, because that's your means of getting to and from work.
Well,
like
it's groceries or a car.
Yeah, that's how you get how you get, you know, to what you need. So without a car, because riding the bus is, you know, it's tough.
Yeah.
If you need to get to a job and, you know, maybe it's not along a bus route, there's a lot of walking, or you maybe need to get some roller skates or something.
Well, there's a in the movie LA Plays Itself, they basically make the point to show you that you're more or less neutered without a car in California. Your job prospect, your life is it's a desert you have to drive through all the time.
Right.
So I mean it destroys you not having a car.
Yeah, and that's like one of the last things people would give up. So, you know, how can you get to a person even before they're about to lose their car? So you know, people, and the one thing I've always told people is yard sales.
Oh yeah.
Because you know, people they probably
I did that. I sold stuff on Craigslist.
Yeah, that's another. It's basically a digital yard sale,
I sold
right?
Stuff on Craigslist. I did. I actually called it an online yard sale when I sold it all.
Yeah, because you listed a bunch of stuff you had
together,
for sale, like a box of DVDs and, you know, like all these things. Like when people are starting to sell that kind of stuff, that generally means that, you know, something's up, something's going on.
Yeah, if you're selling like a motorcycle and it's a good-looking motorcycle,
you're probably not in distress.
No, you probably are. The good-looking motorcycle, the old motorcycle. So? Yeah. Think about it this way. Matter of fact, you just gave me a new idea.
Okay.
Why wouldn't a takeover payment site be a good source?
Takeover payments on your motorcycle?
On anything.
Like take over your lease?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
You know, now that I think about it, like if you had a $900 lease, right? And some people, you know, have these very large leases despite their income barely being able to afford it, and they have a small change in their income. It's dramatic to like their lifestyle.
You wanted to get that Lexus.
You gotta get. I mean, you gotta have that, and they gotta have that fancy car, right?
Exactly. You gotta have it. It's absolutely essential to get from point A to point
B. the Honda wouldn't have got you there.
No, not in style.
But the Camry versus the G versus the G350.
Yeah.
Different animal.
Oh, complete. Yeah, apples and oranges. Does that other one even have wheels? What were you saying, Toyota?
I don't know how people. Yeah. Where do you buy those things anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
No, but in reality, now that I'm thinking about it, a Swap-A-Lease I think is one of the main sites.
Okay.
Craigslist are now you have like OfferUp. I might be looking for like stuff on AutoTrader. Some of the vehicle sales sites, but I think the small stuff for sure. When you see people sell like. So there's interesting types of people online. You have the online obviously. There's on these sales sites. You have a lot of moms selling kids clothes, which is a really popular thing to sell because kids don't wear them very long. And they have these Instagram stores. I mean, there's a serious business in that.
Yeah. And
that's not really a good indicator because lots of people who are doing really well just do it for something to do.
Sure.
Recoup money. But then you have like when you're saying the DVDs. So DVDs are now old, and no one would obviously sell DVDs.
You never know.
Or maybe selling an old phone.
Yeah. But I think if you were to see a listing on Craigslist for like a list of stuff,
if somebody's selling their nice leather couch and they're not moving,
dinette set, their couch, you know, like they're selling everything that they can afford to get
camping
rid of. Camping gear, sure, all the stuff that
things like recreational stuff.
Yeah, like ATVs, little motorcycles.
Basically, I'd say the recreational category is probably the first to go.
Yeah, because you realize, you know, that pontoon we bought at Bass Pro Shop, it was really cool playing on it when we were there that day, but we never took it out on a lake.
My dad bought a lot of our motorcycles during the economic downturn, and he bought them all from families that, you know, my dad was a surveyor.
Yeah.
So he understood contractors, and he understood in the Inland Empire, construction is a huge part of our economy. And when a contractor loses their job, if they lived pretty well, they suffer very quickly.
Yeah.
So like if a contractor lives conservatively, which is like sort of half of them, the other half are the ones who like live kind of high up on the hog.
Right.
They need to unload all their toys. The same goes for a lot of service people. So police officers, firefighters, EMTs. a lot of these people that have these jobs that are known as steady, they tend to overextend themselves because the job is steady. And if they have a spouse, let's say, who loses their job.
Yeah.
So like, let's say you have a firefighter who has consistent hours, and they're always picking up an extra shift every week to make ends meet, and then their spouse loses their primary job, which was, let's say, maybe even just $2,000 to $3,000 extra a month in income. You're gonna have a real problem. Those people are gonna be selling toys.
Absolutely. So, yeah, looking for the toy haulers, for the ATVs, the dirt bikes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Go karts.
Yeah, we bought a trailer and like 5 bikes during the last economic downturn.
Yeah.
Not this last one, the time before when I was younger, during the 90s. And the rest of their life was going sideways. Their yards were toast, right? Like they were talking about, they had overpaid for the home, so they had to unload. So, in today's world, it would look more like a refi. They didn't buy too much. They didn't pay too much for it. They refied too much.
Yeah.
And then they had a life change. And 1% of the market is always changing their life circumstance.
Yeah.
That's why about 1% of homes are going to the trustee sale, sometimes 0.5%.
Sure. Because people don't have a trust set up for in the event somebody were to die, or they don't have life insurance, or things like that.
Oh man, I've learned about that lately. That's huge.
Yeah, it is. And people don't realize it because, if suddenly you don't have an income source coming in,
what
are
a
you
life
gonna do?
insurance rep who has a client who continues to default on their life insurance policy.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a secondary, and people might let it go.
They might, yeah, if they're seeing
Or
hey,
car insurance guy, any kind of insurance rep.
Sure. I mean, I know because I used to sell insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, you meet that guy that was a diabetic smoker. He's paying like $600 a month for his term life
he can't
insurance.
afford that.
Yeah, he's gonna have to let that go if his medical bills are stacking up, and he's got to still buy the cigarettes and all the sugary foods that he's eating.
Hey man, I mean those things don't come cheap.
No, they don't. Actually, I think that's the cheapest form of food. Isn't it?
The cigarettes aren't. The Twinkies are.
Yeah, exactly. Those things will go. They'll live forever. Those Twinkies.
They will. Yeah, they will. Okay, so a couple minutes. Should we?
Got a couple minutes. We should talk a little bit about the club.
So this month.
So
yeah. We have
we have cash flow. Is that tonight?
No.
It's the first Wednesday. Oh no! I'm sorry. Tonight's
Today's
the first Thursday. So next week on Wednesday.
Next on the 7th.
The 7th,
I believe, is Lisa's cash flow game, and
Yes.
it'll probably be the last time at the Bar and Grill Company.
Right? Yeah, she got a new owner there at the Bar and Grill
she
Company.
sold her place.
We know the new owner. Good owner. You should definitely.
Yeah, but they're trying to spiff the place up, so like they're going to make it a lot nicer. They expect to be a lot busier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're not going to be doing the cash flow game at the Bar and Grill Company in April, but we're definitely doing it there in March because we already agreed to it, and we'll probably move it somewhere.
Lisa said she's going to call and let me know.
Okay, so we'll probably somewhere around the Ukaipa, Redlands area. I would
Probably, she
imagine.
lives in Ukaipa, so I essentially believe somewhere on that side of town.
So that's the first Wednesday of the month. Then we have our Saturday morning coffee, which is always the Saturday before the fourth Wednesday of the month.
Which I believe is the 25th. It's the same. It's the 25th and the 28th of the dates this month.
That sounds right to me.
So the 25th.
That's at Lift number 2 in Riverside, which is on Chicago.
Yep.
Make sure when you look it up online, look up Lift number 2.
Yeah.
Because there's multiple Lift locations in Riverside, and it's the one in Chicago. We start that at 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
And get together, networking. It's free. Just come by, have a cup of coffee, and meet all of us. And then the Wednesday following that, which will be the 28th of March this month, we'll be at the Loft 84 in downtown Riverside. And that is going to be from 6 o'clock at night until about 11.
The meeting ends at 9. People stick around.
Yeah, people stick around for more networking, and there's usually some tacos left over. Yeah, so people stick around. And that's Loft 84, 6 to 9.
And they're all casual, by the way.
They're all casual. The one at the Loft 84 is $30 because we have to pay for the room.
Yes.
It's it's not free, but it's $30. It just helps us cover the cost of the whole thing. But other than that, I want to thank my special guest, Stephen McKee, for coming in today.
So great to be here.
Oh, it was a real joy. I'm sure everybody out there agrees with me. And I want you guys all to tune in again next week, Thursday, 4 p.m., right here at the Flip Flop Investor Show on KCAA. We'll see you all then. Take care, everyone. Have a good week.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic